my friends, to the show that never ends. And I went to Port Vale yesterday and watched Wycombe give Port Vale a good old thrashing. To be honest and say, Port Vale is in Stoke-on-Trent, and it does look like their town or city, not quite sure, has been given a good thrashing as well. Oh dear, I can't advise anybody to go there, and certainly don't go there at night. That's for sure. You won't. Well, I say you won't come out alive. There was nobody. There was nobody there. It was pretty sad, actually.
Well, Port Vale's not actually a place, is it?
Port Vale, no, it's in Stoke-on-Trent. And we thought Desborough looked rough.
Oh. The people of Desborough who will watch this are now really sad.
Well, the people watching from Port Vale won't be over the moon, will they?
True.
I don't know whether we should start this again. No, I'll leave it.
It's fine. It's fine.
I mean, it was pretty sad.
I mean, Port Vale still had more fans go to their game than they do to ours, so...
Although, after the second goal went in, with 10 minutes to go, there weren't any left in the place.
Well...
It emptied. I couldn't believe it. They couldn't get out fast enough. We'll discuss that game. The other thing to talk about would be mine and your predictions. One of us is way in front. And the other thing is, after we've talked about Port Vale and League One, I've got, I think it's 10 Wycombe players that have now left that we're going to have a real quick look at their careers. And then we've got to predict the next week's Premier League and whatever. Okay, straight on to Port Vale game then. Their manager... Again, I've said this before about a manager, I can't remember who. Their manager was very on the ball, got it dead right. Ainsworth also got it dead right. Both managers got it dead right. The fans of Port Vale, the ones I've read, their comments, etc., did not get it dead right. Their comments were things like, well, Wycombe were nothing. We weren't anything. So we were very, very equal. They just happened to score 3 and we didn't score any. Well, hey, Port Vale fans, that's the whole point of scoring goals in a game and not letting goals in during a game. We had 3 goes and we scored 3 goals. You had no goes and scored no goals. And I'm afraid that is what it is about. You don't want lots of goes and not score any, because that doesn't make you a good football team. What makes you a good football team is to actually put it in the net when you get the opportunity. And that is exactly what Wycombe did. They were lethal. Wycombe weren't brilliant around the middle, playing it around, but they dominated it. They controlled it. They made sure Port Vale did not get through bugger all. And Wycombe, when they did get through, scored. And it really was that simple. I thought, brilliant. Wycombe could not have played it any better. And it really is that simple. I don't know what else to say other than I went up on our I went up with the independent Wycombe Wanderers football coach thing. It was a van, more like. There are 14 people, 16 seats. I went to a great pub beforehand. Almost didn't want to leave the pub to go to the football, to be honest. Glad I did. The pitch, I've put a picture of the on our thing to open it, of the pitch that I took. And Ainsworth makes comments about not playing it in the middle. Not a good pitch. Not very good. And also, the other thing was at the end of the game, of course, Ainsworth used to play there, didn't he? That's where some of his career was. So he went, what's mean?
I don't. He played for like 10 clubs, didn't he? I don't know where he. You name every club that Ainsworth played for. Go on.
Don't know. And
There you go.
he went up to their fans to clap. Good, by then they'd all gone. There weren't any to clap. He was wasting his time, really. I reckon it was half empty with nearly 10 minutes left to go.
Well,
Like, I was the bloke who
yeah.
controls is in charge of, said if we could get back on the coach quite quick and then we'd get out quite early straight after the game. There was nobody in. They'd gone. I mean, there was no crowd at all. They'd left. So
Maybe there was a kind of, seeing as they're playing Wycombe and they're 2-0 down, that there's absolutely zero chance they get back into it. Obviously, that's not quite true, but maybe they didn't show too much during the game.
well, I reckon they all left early because there might be a sort of a 5:30 curfew in the area where the police sort of lock the place down. It feels a bit like that. But good game on Wycombe's part for them. They were awful, and they didn't have a striker on the football pitch, so they didn't really stand much chance. I don't know where I look up where they score goals from.
City don't or didn't have a striker, did they? And was still very good. It's possible, but probably not if you're down in the depths of League One.
They're not down in the depths. They were behind us by one, weren't they, or two?
Yeah, but in relation to where the top teams are.
Right. No, so it's very difficult. Wheeler, excellent again. And Grimmer, blimey. What do you say? I mean, he was excellent. He was really good.
Well, it looks like him and Jacobson are going to have to form a bit of a partnership at the back, aren't they? At centre back.
I don't know what you could. It doesn't. I mean, did you saw Tafazoli went off?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
A very short. You saw him. He went up to kick the ball, and just held his knee and sat down. He did walk off the pitch. You could see he thought, oh, and sat down. And so he knew. And I saw as soon as he sat, I thought, that's him off. Whatever it is, he wouldn't do that unless he felt something. And we don't have centre backs, do we?
No. Well, we signed this kid who was on trial, didn't we? Whether he's actually supposed to be for the first team or is going to go into the reserve team, I don't know. But we did sign him. And then you've got, don't know where Farino is, don't know where Mawson is. Nobody really knows.
Nobody knows. That's the trouble. If we, Scott, stop saying the lineup. Wing got the most marks on my thing. Yeah, he was in everything. Scowen again. I don't know. If let's pick fault, because isn't that how you get to being perfection as a football team, by taking out the worst and putting in something else? Freeman. No. Personal opinion, I don't know. I thought he was awful. Waste of time.
Well,
take him out. Hanlon didn't do a lot other than score the goal, and he was a threat on there. He did make a difference. I thought he was useful. And while he was on the pitch, they had one or two defenders that were always occupied and terrified. It certainly made a difference when they attacked as well, because they were terrified of him, I think. Vokes, of course, is so slow that you could get back in a wheelchair to catch him up. But Hanlon, they couldn't leave alone, I think. And that first goal, you saw the first goal?
Yeah, it was nicely done.
It was. He controlled that well, didn't he? He had to get through a defender.
bit of a scrappy finish, but yeah, it was good.
And the penalty, couldn't really see it myself. It was down the end
Um,
I was standing, but I
it
wasn't
did.
quite sure. They didn't complain.
I think it did look like there's a kind of movement and noise that the ball tends to make if it comes off an arm, and it did look like it. So I think it probably was.
There seemed to be no complaint.
No,
The ref pointed
it
straight
was.
away.
It
So,
was the.
you've frozen. Shall I? I might stop this here. I will pause it. So
I enjoyed the explanation about McCleary's goal. That was really good. People saying it was one of the best goals they've ever seen, in which he took on one defender and put it in the corner.
it was tight
A bit,
angle.
bit of an exaggeration. It was a good goal,
It
but a
was.
slight
And
exaggeration.
the funny thing was that when he came on, there was somebody next to me or behind me moaning and groaning about how crap he is. He's useless. He just wastes time. He just, what's the
Mm.
point of him being on the pitch? And he goes, and I, and yeah, and some he has games where he's either in or out, doesn't he? And that
Yeah,
was definitely one that he made a difference when he came in.
mm.
He also brought in the new lad, didn't he? Um,
Campbell.
Campbell, who didn't really have enough time to make any opinion of, in all honesty. Um, I mean, you can say enthusiastic and fast, but that doesn't really mean much, does it?
I think he's going to find it difficult because he came in on the same day as Mehmeti left, and people are going to assume that he is the replacement for Mehmeti, which is just very very unlikely. Seeing as he's never really played in the football league, I don't think.
No, no. Didn't he play? He's played for Wolves. This is this guy, isn't it?
Yeah,
But he's not anything worth counting when people say, "Oh, he's play," he's a Wolves player. No, not really.
no.
No, no. But
It's a bit like when we've signed like players from Man United and Chelsea before, and they're just still
yeah,
youngsters and don't really do much.
no. But there we go. We got the points again, which was excellent. Look, Mr. Goalkeeper had nothing to do. I don't think he made a save, and you have to say that Grimmer, I don't understand. I don't get it. Is that the training he's been given, the coaching he's been given? Is that it? Good. It's
Difficult to
excellent.
tell. Yeah.
I hope he keeps that up because it's worth it. Having him around is definitely worth it at the
To
back.
be fair, whenever he's played centre back, he's never put a foot wrong, has he?
No,
Really? Um, Nothing like ever major, or you ever think, oh gosh, Grimace at centre back. He's always been fine there.
I've always been terrified when players come at him. And I've
Well,
always thought, oh my, Gordon Bennett is running up toward Grimmer. But not anymore.
well,
It's,
Wycombe fullbacks in general have always had this thing where they let players run at them until they're on the goal line, don't they? Um, so maybe that's a thing that the fullbacks just get taught to do.
yeah,
There was always Jacobson's downfall, wasn't it?
yes,
And various others.
yes. If we take a quick butchers at the table then, and other scores from yesterday, a few interesting ones. I mean, if we go through that, look at the top group again. I mean, really, Bolton won. The other one, of course, Ipswich drew again. How long is
Mm.
their manager going to have? I mean, Ipswich are not doing at all well here. They drew with Cambridge, for goodness sake. and they're not getting on well. They drew with Cambridge. They did beat Morecambe. They lost to Oxford. They drew with Plymouth.
I can't believe you said that, by the way. How long has their manager got, having only lost 4 games this season and they're in third? I know they were higher than that previously. However, if this happens at Ainsworth, you wouldn't be saying, how long's Ainsworth got?
No, you're right. You're right. It's just surely they can't afford to fail again, because every year that they fail, the less chance they've got the following year. Now, they were sat on the top, weren't they? Only a little while ago. Now they're third, and they're 6 points behind Sheffield Wednesday and 6 points behind Plymouth. They're not going to finish in the top 2. And Derby are catching them up as well. So it'd be Derby that are going to come third or second or whatever. Ipswich are going slowly down that group. They'll be in the playoffs, probably, possibly, but they're going to be they're not fighting for an automatic promotion
at the current rate, anyway. And we know teams in these leagues do go through patches where either they're brilliant or they're awful. Like Shrewsbury, who are in 9th, have won the last 5.
They have, yeah.
There's weird things like that.
And they beat Oxford yesterday, didn't they? 1-0. And Oxford have lost the last 4.
Yeah.
Which, so if that, now there is a manager that's, we keep saying this week in, week out, he is going to go. I was going to look him up today, actually, to see if he's still got a job, because it is that close. There is the Oxford thing on YouTube, the Oxford one, the guy who does that, and it has turned into a time to leave, mate, video now, where everybody writes underneath, you know, it's time for him to leave. Is he going to leave or be sacked? And all this. I think, I wonder how long they'll keep hold of him. Of course, there's no rush to get rid of him as such, because they're mid-table. So it's not like they're fighting relegation and need that bit of a kick of a new manager.
No, but it's getting there.
It's getting there. I mean, funnily enough, I mean, looking at the other results in there, MK Dons beat Bristol Rovers. What's happening at Bristol Rovers, I wonder? I mean, we played them a few weeks ago. They've lost the last 4 as well, I think. And they've lost to funny little teams as well. They lost MK Dons and they lost to Morecambe. Lost 5-1 to Morecambe. I mean, okay, they lost to Plymouth, and the other one was Accrington. So they're not exactly bombing along there either. They'll just say the Bristol Rovers one that they lost. It was the EFL trophy. But they're not exactly bombing along there either. But they love that manager, so he'll be all right. Just to say, in that lineup, I was just going to have a look to see whether for MK Dons who won, I was just going to have a quick look to see whether any of the other Wycombe players were playing. Kake was playing for 90 minutes, so he did get in the team. The other scores worth noting, not really. The one that's important, I suppose, to Wycombe is Peterborough beating Forest Green. Peterborough are important to Wycombe now, because that is one of the teams that Wycombe sort of need to get above. And the other one is Barnsley. We need Barnsley to start having a bit of a problem. And they drew with Portsmouth 1-1. So both of those, well, Barnsley lost points, which is good. Peterborough didn't.
Mm.
And the other important one you would say was Sheffield Wednesday and Plymouth playing each other, and Sheffield Wednesday beat them. So they are now both on the same amount of points. That's probably not so good for Ipswich. I bet they need one of those teams to break away, don't they? And beat the other. But they did. But that just meant it evened everything up. Okay, got anything to say about League One? Or Wycombe?
I suppose we should probably talk about Mehmeti leaving.
Just getting there.
Oh, there you go.
Mehmeti leaving and the players that have left. Okay, Mehmeti at Wycombe, September 2020 to January 2023. Now at Bristol City, he played he played in 97 games, and on average he played 62 minutes per game on average. Is there anything you want to talk about Mehmeti?
Well, in terms of him actually leaving, supposedly a big factor in him leaving is family reasons and wants to look after his family. Um, he's probably on more money at Bristol City. They evidently have a lot of faith in him because he's been given a number 11 shirt. I know you can look too much into like shirt numbers and stuff, but they wouldn't give someone a shirt number unless they actually thought he might get in the team if he was a number 11. So they do have faith in him, and he is going to be playing, and he is going to be earning quite a bit more money. Should he have gone to Bristol City of all clubs? It's probably not a bad one to go to.
Mid-table. They're not going anywhere this year.
No, it's probably not a bad one to go to. In terms of like if he was fighting to get in the Premier League, I think he would struggle a lot more. But he's going to get games against the lower teams, and hopefully will shine a little bit. And I mean, he's still only 20, 21. He's still got a long way to go in terms of actually improving his own footballing ability. So fair enough. Up and letting him go mid-season, because I think it was a bit obvious that it might.
Sorry?
Last year, in terms of him leaving in January, like it seems a bit silly to halfway through the season base your optimism of going or getting into the playoffs around him, and then letting him leave for what we believe is probably quite a small amount of money. So it's a bit of a shame, but on him, fair enough. On the club, they think they've probably cocked up a bit in terms of how much money they've got and when they've allowed them to leave.
We don't know how much we sold him for, of course, do we?
Rumoured to be nothing, or like $1 million, because supposedly the Bristol City CEO or scout or whoever it is now was the old Wycombe one, and so would have known about a buyout clause in Mehmeti's contracts, which supposedly there was, and supposedly it was just $1 million. But in today's market, probably should have got a bit more for him, or we should have stuck out for a bit more for him, especially in January.
Yeah, I don't think he could go to any team bigger. That's what I think. Not yet.
No.
I think any players that sort of, eyes sparkle for the gold make big mistakes doing that. And then their careers only have to crash once, and that could be the end of that. And I think you're better off slowly building up rather than, because at least if you go up a step, and if you don't go any further, at least you've gone up a step. If you take 2 steps and fall down, you tend to fall below where you started from. And I just think footballers just got to be so careful with their careers. It's ridiculous, I think. And we'll get to them. Sully, KK off to MK Dons. He was with Wycombe for not a long time, July 21 to January 23. Games wise, he played in 32 games, and on average, he played 46 minutes per game on average. But he only actually played in 7 League One games. He was playing in cup games mainly, and in those 7 League One games, on average, he played 19 minutes per game. Do you think we didn't use him
Yeah.
very well?
Yeah. Whenever he did play, he always added a little bit of spark. It was difficult to see if there was that much difference between him and Hanlon, like realistically. Um,
See,
and I
what
mean,
we didn't see, of course, out of those 32 games where he played more minutes in the cup stuff, they obviously were games I didn't see him.
and it's one of them as well where managers like to give loads of players chances in the cup games, and so you're typically surrounded by people who want to do it all in a very short space of time, and that never normally works very well unless you do produce things by yourself. And evidently, he didn't, so could never
See,
get in the team for the actual league games.
on those 32 games, and you work out he played 46 minutes a game on average, I mean, that was like playing 16 90-minute games. He would have been seen enough for that decision to be made. And what
Yeah,
Ainsworth saw wasn't good enough.
I don't think he probably would have suited our kind of style of play anyway. Um, I do think he had a bit more quality than us just letting him go in the way it has done. I think he's better than 39 games and only 46 minutes average. Uh,
32 games, yeah.
32 games average, and I know he didn't score or assist too many, but I don't think that was entirely his fault. But I don't think he was brilliant. I don't think it was entirely his fault either.
Okay, some of the other players then. Here we go. We'll start with David Stockdale, as he's a pain in the neck.
Mm.
Now at Sheffield Wednesday, he was at Wycombe from November 18 to July 22. He came from Birmingham. Now at Sheffield Wednesday, as I say, he played 73 games for Wycombe, 28 clean sheets. At Sheffield Wednesday, he's played 23 games with 12 clean sheets, but he hasn't played since the 17th of December because they're now picked the other goalkeeper they've got, and he sits on the bench, and he is not a happy bunny. There was stuff written in their local newspapers just last week about how he is not happy. He does not like that situation. He sees no reason why it should be like that because, as far as he was concerned, he's been playing really well and he will fight for his place back. I don't know how a goalkeeper fights for their place back because unless you get on the pitch and you're not coming on as a sub, I don't see how you fight for your place back.
Especially as a goalkeeper, it's very difficult, isn't it?
The only way you do that is if you don't fight, the other guy's got to fail or get a broken leg. You want him to have an injury so you can get on the pitch.
Yeah. And I mean, who suggests that's going to happen? He's a bit of a knobhead, so that's kind of all I have to say about him.
Yeah, I wonder whether it's his character that is keeping him off the football pitch. And
Well,
I do wonder that. I'll mention that a bit later about what
he's played for
Guardiola
20.
has said about this.
He's played for 20 different clubs.
Has he?
Yeah,
I
and
wonder. I
has
wonder
only
whether
ever
people just
made
don't like him.
he's only ever made 50 plus appearances for two clubs, and one of them's us, and one of them's Brighton.
I wonder if people just don't like him.
Essentially.
Next one, and Anthony Stewart. He was at Wycombe from July, have I got you that 4 minutes? July 2015 to January 2022. He was at Wycombe for nearly 7 years, 6.5 years. He is now at MK Dons. He went from Wycombe to Aberdeen. He was made captain straight away there. He played 29 games for Aberdeen. And when he did play, he was on the pitch for 89 minutes per game. He was playing games for them. He was in for a while, out for a while, back in for a while. They then had that desperate 5-0 loss or something, and then played a team 6th in the Scottish League. And we're talking about lower than Holmer Green standard. Okay. I mean, we are talking about lower than Holmer Green standard. And they lost 1-0. And then they lost the next game 6-0. They sacked the manager. The next one came in and he's gone straight away. And he's at MK Dons.
It's weird, wasn't it? Because very rarely does a player go into a club straight away and is made captain. Especially someone who wasn't actually captain at their club previously. He was never captain at Wycombe, and so for him to be made captain in a club like Aberdeen, I say a club like Aberdeen.
Well, they're roughly they fight clubs, for third, don't they?
In terms of Scottish clubs, they fight for third and have been in Europe and all that sort of thing. So they're not. They would be, I would imagine, mid to top championship kind of level. So yeah, it was a bit bizarre that his journey up to Scotland. Maybe he just didn't like it as well, and maybe just wants to come back to England. He did, however, have one highlight in which he got sent off, and the tackle in which he got sent off for was incredible. Like how he didn't break both the guy's legs, I don't know, but he absolutely went for it.
I should have found that video and put it in.
You'll probably find it somewhere.
Okay. Okay, so Mehmet has gone up. Kai is down from Wycombe. Is MK Dons down?
I mean, you could probably say it's, just based on what it is at the moment, slightly down, but for all we know, it could be even come next season.
We'll say even. They're still, just. So Stewart is even. Stockdale, well, you've got to say he's gone down because he's not playing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all well and fine, Man United can sign me if they like. But if I'm not playing, so
No.
what? Okay. Do we do the next one?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. The next one is Alex Samuel.
Oh, yeah.
He was at Wycombe from August 18 to August 21, 3 years. He's now at Ross County. That's definitely down. And he's only got on the pitch 8 times in that 3 years. 37 minutes on average per game. But he's he's usually on the bench or a sub. And he was injured for almost a year, but he came back from that injury last week. So he's a bench player. They don't use him. He sits on the bench. He might come on for the last 2 minutes or not come on at all. That's where he is.
I mean, in his last season with us, he barely scored any goals, did he? He was always, known for working hard and getting the ball back and all that sort of thing. But in terms of actually being a striker and scoring goals, he wasn't very good.
I would say I can run around the pitch, but I can't. But
Well, there is that. But he does do sermons in local churches, so we like him for that. But at football, he's probably not brilliant.
He's not very good at football. So that was what's his name, Alex Samuel. Scott Cashgett will get a bit faster. July 2015 to August 21. He's now at Gillingham in League Two. 36 games he's played for them, and he starts all their games, and he's usually subbed. He's the one that goes off after 70 minutes, 80 minutes. So he's still playing, blah, blah, blah. Amazing he's fit, really.
Wasn't very often.
A full year out of him, did we, ever?
Not really, did we? We had Cashco was a weird one for us because he had the one period of time in which he was absolutely incredible, but now isn't so much, and wasn't.
He's gone down.
Yeah,
Gillingham League Two.
He scored.
No, at least he's playing games.
Yeah, he scored 2 in 11 games thus far. He scored 22 in 105 for Wycombe. So, but then 10 of those came in the space of like 10 games, didn't they? So
right. Okay, Ikpeazu. He was there at Wycombe just for that 1 year. Left in July 21. He's now in. He went to Middlesbrough, but disappeared very, very quickly off to Turkey. Konyaspor, I think they're called.
Yes.
Yeah. He's never started any games. He's played in 17 games, I think, but he only ever comes on for 1 or 2 minutes at the end of each game. So he doesn't ever get the chance to get his boots dirty. He's not playing football.
No.
Waste of time.
His career is really weird because we thought he was brilliant at Wycombe. But in terms of the total amount of goals he's scored in his career, he's on 35, 39. He's below 50. Like, he hasn't scored many.
He should have stayed at Wycombe.
And he is, 27 years old.
Yeah.
He's played 284 and scored 57. There you go. It's pretty average.
I'd have him back.
But you would have him at Wycombe because he was very good at Wycombe.
Yeah. So maybe he will. You never know next year. I mean, they must keep a track of these players, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. Wycombe especially.
Yeah. I mean, the next one, Fred Onidinma, July 19, May 21. But we had him ages before then, backwards and forwards, on loan all the time. But he was a Wycombe player for those couple of years. He's now at Luton. This season, he's not even in the squad for half the games. So he's at home. I mean, he's not even on that big bench, let alone getting games. And out of the other half of the games where he is in the squad, he's only started half of them, and he's always been subbed or comes on as a sub. He's not. His career has disappeared at Luton. You'd have to say his career's gone downhill. He's not playing football.
No.
He's not even getting in the squad most of the time, let alone coming on. What a waste.
It agrees.
It was too high for him.
Yeah, I mean, when he was in the Championship with Millwall, it appeared to be a bit too high for him as well.
Jumbati, is that right? Yeah, July 14 to July 20. So he's Wycombe for 6 years. He's now at Ebbsfleet United in the National League South. That's level 6 for us. and they are top of their league. And so more than likely he'll be in the National League next year. And he starts 75% of their games. So he's still playing.
Right.
So he's okay. He's okay. He's found his level, if you like, but you'd have to say that's lower than Wycombe.
I was just like, you say he's found his level. People still played 154 games for Wycombe, and he was still playing for us week in, week out.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre, some of these, because, like...
He's gone down, hasn't he? He's playing down. Yeah. And then Paris, Cowan Hall. He was at Wycombe June 2013 on loan, and we bought him twice until 2019. So he went to Colchester, hardly got a game, was only in the squad 20 times out of 80 at Colchester, and that was on the bench when he was in the squad. He only started 11 games, and he hasn't had a club for 2 years.
No, I assume he's probably not playing football at this point.
No. So they just sort of kicked him out, didn't want him, never played, hardly got on the bench, and his career has gone, hasn't it?
Yeah. Which is unfortunate because he was probably, I mean, for periods of time, he was my favourite player at Wycombe. I thought the player who had the highest potential, which is a shame.
So Mehmet has gone up, but he hasn't really.
You can't tell at this point.
Yeah. Sully has gone to MK Dons about equal, Stewart about equal, and then Stockdale is down because he's not playing. Alex Samuel is down, he's at Ross County not playing. Kashket is down at Gillingham, but he does start. Ikpaezu is down in Turkey, never plays and starts. Fred Onedinma is down. He's at Luton and hardly comes on ever, and is lucky to get in the squad. Jumbati is down at Ebbsfleet, National League South. He does start 75% of the game, but that's down. And Paris hasn't even got a team and hasn't had one for 2 years and is down. Does this suggest Ainsworth gets the best out of these players, and when they move on, they are no longer the player that he makes them?
Largely, yes. I was thinking whilst you were saying that about players who actually have done well, having gone from Wycombe. 09 is one of them. You would say he's probably gone up and has been successful at Sunderland. Matt Phillips.
Yes.
He was obviously very good in the Premier League for long periods of time. I mean, Eze, I guess, we never actually bought him, but he was at Wycombe for periods of time, and is now doing very well.
Steve Guppy, you wouldn't have heard of.
No,
he played for Leicester.
He played for England.
Up in Scotland.
Yeah. But then, I mean, even players of old who, were like early legends of our Football League era, like I'm thinking Tyson and McLeish, players like that. Tyson never did that well when he left Wycombe and then came back and he was all right. McLeish, I have no idea. We had a centre back, didn't we? Who played for Newcastle in the Premier League? Taylor?
No.
We definitely had a player who played for Roger Johnson, maybe. He was in the Premier League with Wolves.
Johnson.
But in terms of recent players who have played under the Rangers and all that sort of thing, yeah, they do tend to go downhill after they leave.
Okay. Sorry about that. I was dying there. Right. Better move on. I've got loads of things I wanted to talk about. I'm going to dump the lot. Get on to the scores. You can say your usual 1 minute on the games, and I will give you your points and mine, and I'll tell you the total at the end. Okay. Chelsea nil, Fulham nil on Friday.
Uh,
Anything to say?
no, nothing happened. Fernandez was okay. Um, Chelsea spent 600 mil and still can't beat Fulham.
Okay, you said Chelsea win. I said Fulham win. So neither of us get a point.
Good.
Okay, next game then was Everton Arsenal. You predicted a draw, and I predicted an Arsenal win, and it was in fact an Everton win. So again, neither of us get any points.
Good.
We didn't know about what's his name? What we got to do? Him. We didn't know that he was got a job. If we'd known that, it might have changed your opinion of whether Everton might win.
No, I still said draw because I assumed that they would have a new manager and they would kind of make a little bounce. I'm not sure you'll make it as an impressionist though.
No, I don't. I don't. No.
No.
Aston Villa 2, Leicester 4. You said a draw, and I said a draw.
Good.
So neither of us so far have any points.
We're good at this, aren't we?
Bit of a surprise, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a surprise. But I think brings Aston Villa down to earth a little bit. They kind of assumed they were the be all and end all because they've beaten a couple of teams since Emery's come in. They've still got crappy players. Although Watkins did score, which was
a bit of a surprise,
which is a rarity.
Next one was Brentford 3, Southampton 0. Now, just to mention, we both said Brentford winning. You said 3-1. So you almost got it, but not quite. And I said 2-1. So we've now both got a point. But old what's his face at Southampton, the manager.
Oh, yeah.
Have you read what he said or listened to what he said?
I heard he made a comment.
Interesting comments about I should do what I think is right. I shouldn't be pushed around and do what people tell me to do.
And I'm lucky. You're lucky to have me at Southampton as opposed to be at a better club. Yeah.
Do you know he is so nervous? He bites his nails, right? He's so nervous. He has to have plasters with him on the side of the football pitch.
He's evidently not all up. He's evidently not all up there, is he?
He shouldn't be a manager, I don't think. I think. I don't think he should. I don't think he's that very good, to be honest.
He must be all right to an extent. He is managing the Premier League, but yeah,
I could lose in the Premier League.
He's beat Man City recently.
Anybody can beat Manchester City at the moment. Okay. Brighton 1, Bournemouth 0. And so you said Bournemouth would win. And you said Bournemouth would win 2-1. And I said Brighton would win 4-0. So I get a point and you get no points. So I'm 2-1 up.
I feel like I made quite a few bold predictions. I didn't go for the obvious things.
Anything you want to say about that?
The new guy's still scoring goals. I don't think he's as good as everyone makes him out to be, but he's having a nice little period.
Okay.
Mitoma.
Manchester United 2, Crystal Palace 1. You said 3-1. And I said a draw, 1-1. So you get another point.
Right.
So it's 2-2 at the moment, point-wise. Did you see the...
Yeah.
On Match of the Day, I saw pictures and I thought, well, no, dead right, he should be sent off. And then I saw it from a different angle on Match of the Day. And he's basically there.
He's not strangling him, is he?
He isn't. He's got him there.
Yeah. And then you've got to decide what counts as being dangerous.
From that angle, Looks
Yeah.
like he's strangling him, but in fact, he's got him on his shoulders.
Well, he does.
He's holding that, isn't he? His
Yeah,
shirt. He's
he's
not holding his neck.
no,
And
he is far too close to the bloke's neck. But I mean, then you've got to decide whether just pushing someone is a red card. It doesn't actually do too much, but he is far too close to his neck.
never a red card. Never a red card. That was wrong.
He,
And
he didn't actually complain too much, to be fair.
no, I don't. I mean, surely they are going to complain about that, aren't they? I mean, do you see what all the other players were doing?
I know, but the pictures aren't great.
But you can't
Either
just
way,
send him off and nobody else got a yellow card. How does that work? I thought that was really unfair, actually. I can see why everybody wouldn't be very happy. Talking about why you wouldn't be very happy, Wolves 3, Liverpool 0. You
yeah,
said Liverpool would win, and I said it'd be a draw. So again, we get no points.
yeah,
Nor
just
do Liverpool.
no. You can just move on from that one.
Okay.
It's good that I don't really care about football anymore because otherwise I'd be having a really tough
You
time
do care
watching.
about football.
Well, in
But
terms of in
you're
terms of what I used to be, in terms of if Liverpool lost, then it would affect my moods and
yeah,
I'd
but
be
that's not what
crying for
football's
days.
for. It's not supposed to be. That's why there's violence at football matches because people sort of it's a sport, it's entertainment, and if it's any more than that, then
Well,
it gets
it's
out of hand.
it's lacking the entertainment aspect for me at the moment. Let's say that.
Yes, maybe, but surely you can enjoy the other games
Um,
and the detail and Wycombe, and
just don't have time. But yes, I can.
of course you do. Newcastle, this one was a bit of a surprise. Newcastle won, West Ham won. And they've got that. You put 2-0 to Newcastle, and I put 1-0 to West Ham. So again,
Mm.
neither of us got any points. Okay.
Mm.
And that was a surprise. It was a surprise.
Yeah, we didn't know about Bruno not being there, to be fair.
No.
I'm not sure that would have still influenced my decision, but I mean, obviously, it influenced the game, and apparently Newcastle didn't have much control over it because he was. No.
Next was Nottingham Forest 1, Leeds 0. You said 2-3, and I said 1-0. I got 3 points. I've got one totally right.
I wondered why you said someone was way out in front because none of us have done too well.
And the next one was Tottenham 1, City 0. You said 2-1 to City. I said 2-1 to Tottenham. So I get another point. So it's 6-2 point wise.
Oh dear.
So
tell me out of 10 games, I got the results of 2 of them correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yet we're the ones with a podcast.
We know nothing. We know nothing. Okay. Well, I watched the second half of the Tottenham City game. It just finished. Yeah. Tottenham, fair enough. Yeah, they were definitely for it. City, I read something once about Guardiola saying about it's all about your feelings and confidence, and it's your attitude. And yeah, I get that. The trouble is he can pick and choose his players with that because they're all brilliant. But most squads can't pick and choose them. Are you feeling good today? If so, you're in the team. You can't do that if you've only got 11 decent players.
No.
Whereas he can. But he's making a few errors here. Did you know De Bruyne didn't come on until the second half?
Yeah.
Why? What? Tell me one team that would, if you've got De Bruyne in the team who is fit, tell me one team that wouldn't have had him on the football pitch.
Well, it's a problem, isn't it? I mean,
he made a mistake. He's got the other bloke up front, and maybe he should have taken him off. But
it's
he can't, can he?
his kind of comments about if you're feeling good enough and all that sort of thing is fine, but you can prepare players to not feel good enough and yet still play. There still is a thing. Um, so yeah, he's just being ridiculous at the moment. Cancelo leaving and him not playing Cancelo is ridiculous. I mean, we were supposed to believe that Cancelo was the best fullback in the world, and yet you're now playing some 19-year-old over him who doesn't or isn't as good by any stretch of the imagination. You're not playing, De Bruyne. You're not playing your standard centre backs.
Foden wasn't on the pitch. Didn't see
Foden
him
again.
again. What's the
He's
matter with Foden? Is he not feeling very happy? You know, it's just. I'm
he's being a
sorry,
muppet.
but he is starting to annoy me a bit because he's such a cocky bastard as a manager, and he thinks it's all about him. Well, this is about him. Why they're not winning, I
Mm.
think. I mean, he keeps playing that guy up front. You know, he out of the 22 players, he was the worst. That isn't my opinion. That's on all these point things you can look on, and it's sure enough he had no
As
effect on the game whatsoever.
I
If he
assume
was
you're
a
talking
centre
about. I
forward,
assume you're talking about Haaland. Yes.
yeah, if he was a centre forward in any other team, he would have got subbed because he had no effect on the game.
Well,
Okay?
I actually don't. I mean, I've just seen a video from Sky and what Carragher's been saying. City is not the right team for him, even though he's scored all of these goals. City's style of play and City's way of going about things does not suit him whatsoever. He's a counter-attacking footballer, and City don't do that.
But,
So,
but De Bruyne's, I mean, why he is the guy that creates the goals, and if you don't put him on the pitch, for goodness sake, I'm sorry, but and to be honest, with Arsenal losing yesterday, what an opportunity! If they'd won today, right, Arsenal would start shaking. Into the next game, they'd be concerned. Now they're probably having a party. I bet they're not fussed at all now. I bet they actually that's a plus to Arsenal, even though they both lost. I bet you Arsenal are having a party. That would have
mm,
boosted Arsenal, in
yeah,
fact, even though they lost. Because they must feel we can even lose games and it makes no difference. And that will take any fear out of them playing football. And I think City through that. I cannot believe the, the manager should be sacked. No, I think the guy's an idiot. Is what I think. I think he's too cocky for himself.
mm,
Just to mention that the music, the name of the group is The Sun or the Moon, and the album is called Cosmic. Absolutely love this album. I say that every time. I wouldn't play it if I didn't. The Sun or the Moon, and the album is called Cosmic. Playing a couple of songs have been. Okay, we got to predict. Ready? And this is the last.
yeah.
Right, so we've got to be quick. Okay. Man United, this is on Wednesday. Man United,
Surely we don't do the Wednesday. We only do the Saturday, Sunday, Monday, don't we?
if you
No.
like.
Oh, I suppose we won't know the Monday game. Yeah, go on to the Wednesday as well.
Man United leads. Man United is, well, what do you think?
3-1 United.
Going for 2-0. Do we both agree that United are going to win that? Then Thursday, no games. Friday, no games. Saturday, Wycombe Rangers derby, and you're coming.
Mm.
Okay. West Ham, Chelsea.
2-1 West Ham.
I'm 1-0 Chelsea. Arsenal, Brentford.
3-0 Arsenal. they'll be fine with that.
2-0 Arsenal, I think. Crystal Palace, Brighton.
I think I'm just going to keep it basic this week and just go for whoever's supposed to win. Say 2-1 Brighton.
I'm going for a draw. I'm going for 1-1. Fulham, Nottingham Forest.
4-0 Fulham. I reckon.
I think that's going to be 2-2. Leicester, Tottenham. Ooh, that could be anything.
2-2.
I'm going to go for 2-0 to Leicester. I think Leicester, after this weekend, they'll be boosted. Southampton, Wolves. Nail boy.
That's 1-0 Wolves. It won't be a very good game.
Yeah, it's going to 0-0. I think it'd be an awful game. Wolves away. Bournemouth, Newcastle.
2-0 Newcastle.
That's going to be my shock of the week, that one. I'm going for 1-0 Bournemouth. That's going to be my shock. And then we've got 2 Sunday matches.
Leeds United again.
Leeds versus United.
3-1 United again. Same as Wednesday.
And I'm going to go 1-0 to United. And then City, Aston Villa.
3-0.
Really?
Yeah, they're at home. They won't have a problem. Never normally do anyway.
Again, I'm going to go 1-0 Aston Villa.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I think they're crumbling.
I
think they're crumbling. And we won't bother with the Monday.
It's probably Everton will probably whack us anyway. It's fine.
You think?
They won't whack us, but they could win. They could well win.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
No. Brighten up, Kieran. Next week we got Derby, mate. Wycombe Derby. No problem. Right. We're going to walk them off the pitch. Good. Kieran, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
And I'll say goodbye. Goodbye.